The presence of wild boars has been a problem for agricultural communities for a very long time. Their populations continue to expand without being controlled, and as a result, they are increasingly invading crop fields, causing major harm and anguish to the farmers in the area. Organized wildlife management teams have arisen as a response to the problem, with the intention of addressing it through the utilization of coordinated efforts and traditional tracking methods. In one of the operations that took place early in the morning, a group of people set out at daybreak in the direction of a hillside in the countryside, where there had been recent reports of wild boar activity. As soon as they arrived, they immediately deployed with the assistance of dogs that had been trained to track. As soon as the dogs detected a scent, the team went into position to observe the situation. After a short period of time, a giant wild boar materialized and made an attempt to flee the gradually tightening formation. The situation was brought under control with a single shot that was precisely placed, which essentially prevented any further crop destruction in the area during the conflict. While this was going on, another crew that was stationed on a neighboring hillside was keeping an eye on the cornfields from a different place. Prompt action was taken by the crew in response to the appearance of a boar that had begun disturbing the plants. The initial attempt to intercept the animal did not immediately succeed. However, by persistent tracking efforts, they were eventually able to locate and tame the animal, so bringing peace and tranquility back to the field. In the Ardennes, an operation of a similar nature was carried out in a region that was heavily wooded. At that location, the growing boar populations had started to pose significant threats to the livelihoods of the locals. The animals were prevented from retreating into the deeper parts of the forest by a method that was meticulously coordinated and resulted in the capture of several of them. There were some individuals who were able to briefly escape, but in order to prevent long-term problems, continual surveillance and prompt responses were implemented further into the forest. In the later part of that day, one squad was warned to an approaching target by rather little signals, such as a slight rustling sound in the underbrush. Efforts that were well-timed and accurate ensured that the boar would no longer pose a hazard to the geographical area. The sound of dogs barking was another indication that the detection was successful at another location. Suddenly, a wild boar forced its way through the thicket, but it was quickly brought under control via the application of synchronized action. Following the forest's establishment, the protection of the local crops was restored. The preservation of agricultural stability throughout these landscapes continues to depend on the timeliness, coordination, and prudent animal management operations that are undertaken. The entire process is documented in a transparent manner in each and every instance, documenting real-time actions that are carried out in accordance with stringent regulations. The situations that animal management teams encountered during boar mitigation operations are not reenacted or dramatized. Rather, these acts are a representation of the actual conditions that took place. Just before daylight, activities were initiated in another mission that was situated in the Pindus Mountains, which are renowned for their steep terrain and lush vegetation formations. During their progression through the forest, the team followed the indicators of activity that were attributed to a troop of wild boars, which were known as shadows in the local vocabulary. Following more than 30 minutes of tracking in frigid conditions, a surprising movement in the thicket led to a swift and calm action that protected the safety of the squad as well as the farmland that was surrounding them. Another squad on the mountain saw a silhouette moving through the snow as they traveled further along the mountain. Following the completion of the identity verification process, the group reacted with a single, concentrated action. Because of this effort, the region experienced less disturbance than it would have otherwise, and the monitoring process was able to continue without interruption. Due to the fact that conditions differ from region to region, certain teams rely on aerial technologies in order to examine larger areas. In the state of Texas, for instance, the utilization of helicopters permits rapid detection and response across broad, open area. Teams that are able to locate and control wild boar clusters from above are equipped with high-resolution technology and are supervised by expert pilots. This helps lessen the amount of strain that is placed on farmers across wide areas of land. When viewed from above, the attention then shifts to the hilly regions of Corsica, which are frequently characterized by dense vegetation that severely restricts movement. At that location, teams would create fixed observation stations that would provide clear views over vital corridors. In the case that an animal is found to be foraging, precautions are made in advance to prevent it from getting to crops that are susceptible to damage. The final destination is Gorsky Kotor, which is a place that is characterized by layers of lush woodland and a difficult elevation. In this area, teams that are accompanied by dogs that have received extensive training travel the harsh environment in search of indications of boar activity. Within a matter of minutes, the dogs react to a disturbance that is occurring in the vicinity, which results in another intervention that is both quantified and successful, and also contributes to the ongoing wildlife balance in the region. Despite all of these efforts, which span forests, farms, and mountains, wildlife management continues to be an essential component in maintaining harmony between agriculture and nature. These operations contribute to the protection of natural ecosystems as well as rural economies by depending on expertise, ethical methods, and coordinated collaboration. It was then that a wild boar suddenly emerged from the underbrush, moving at a speed that was quite astounding. Following then, there was an instantaneous gunshot, which brought an end to the pursuit. Hesitation or retreat was not an option at this point in time. Immediately after the target was found, the sounds of dogs barking could be heard across the forest, which was a clear indication that the pursuit had started. With the intention of evading capture, the animal made a dash into the woodland, but its efforts were ultimately fruitless. A shot was fired just as it was breaking into open terrain, which ultimately brought it down. These kinds of encounters are growing more frequent in areas such as New South Wales, which is an important agricultural zone in Australia. Wild boars, who are notorious for their tenacity and aggressiveness, have been responsible for a significant amount of damage. As a result of their ability to uproot soil, harm crops, and pose a substantial threat to farming operations, they cause annual financial losses that amount to tens of millions of dollars. Organized control efforts are currently being undertaken in order to address this rising problem. As part of a coordinated reaction, gatherings of hunters and conservation teams are taking place. They are not interested in sports, but rather in protection, which is the preservation of fertile land from destruction. As soon as the sun rises at 5 o'clock in the morning, squads begin deploying, fully armed and ready to carry out the task for the day. The members scatter into their positions as soon as they arrive at the location that has been assigned. There is complete silence for 20 minutes, when a gigantic boar that is reported to weigh more than 500 pounds charges out from its hiding place. A shot is fired in a matter of seconds' time. The boar falls to the ground where it was standing. In a different section of the field, there is a wild boar that has been reported. As the rest of the herd disperses and disappears into the thick cover, it is brought down by a shot that has been targeted with great care. This activity is still going on. The field's wide nature makes it an ideal location for tracking, as it provides a strategic viewpoint. As was anticipated, a massive herd of wild boars starts to tear through the dry ground by shredding through it. After that, there is gunfire, but the majority of people are able to flee, leaving only a handful behind. The members of the squad communicate fast with one another and designate new areas for tracking in order to prevent further escape. After a few moments, yet another large boar is observed, traveling through the dense grass. As soon as the shot is fired, the animal falls to the ground after a little stumble. There is another party that comes upon a silhouette in the brush at the same time. As they are being pursued by trained canines, a number of boars break into a furious dash. Another round of shots is fired, which ultimately results in the death of 2 more predatory animals. The pursuit becomes more intense as night draws near, with the goal of capturing the remaining animals before the night falls. Another wild boar suddenly dashes into the undergrowth, most likely because it is spooked or trying to escape. A shot from a rifle pierces the silence, causing the animal to stop dead in its tracks. Considering that some wild boars can weigh hundreds of kilograms, it is common knowledge that they pose a threat to people located in rural areas. Due of the animal's power and intelligence, traditional means of containment, such as fence and traps, frequently prove to be useless. On account of this, organized hunts continue to be a fundamental approach for controlling the growth of the population. In the depths of the jungle, a 7-hour pursuit gets underway. As morning breaks, the group makes their way down the tiny pathways. As soon as the dogs start barking, which is an undeniable signal, the group jumps into action and forms a flanking formation simultaneously. There is a successful beginning to the day, as evidenced by the fact that a clean shot is fired as soon as the target is discovered. Not much longer after that, another boar charges from a higher vantage point. Rapidly, it is rendered ineffective. The passage of additional wild boars can be identified by the rustling of leaves and underbrush from the forest. It is imperative that the team maintains patience until the creatures are visible. After then, a number of gunfire will reverberate across the woodland, culminating in yet another successful takedown. It is obvious that being positioned in elevated blinds offers a distinct advantage. Hunters are able to enjoy a wider field of view from such a vantage point, which enables them to take more accurate actions. There is only one woman in the group, yet she is the only member of the squad who notices a small herd approaching. It is not possible for her to get a clear shot since the animals run away before she can take aim. As they make adjustments to their locations, the team begins a new ambush. Once more, a herd appears, and a shot from the member who is closest to the individual is able to successfully eliminate one of the animals. A black shadow may be seen off in the distance moving very swiftly. Another member takes aim and fires a shot that proves to be decisive. Despite the fact that more boars are flying through the forest in a chaotic manner, the team is continuing its efforts to bring equilibrium back to the relationship between agriculture and wildlife.